Thank you for joining us for this press conference to discuss the city's care of the homeless during the snowstorm emergency. Joining us is Dr. Hanaa Hamdi, Director of the Health and Community Wellness for the City of Newark.
Good afternoon, everyone. Since Friday, the city saw 370 homeless population, men and women. The transient populations were all housed at JFK Recreation Center. They came by way of us picking them up using city transportation from airports, from under bridges and Penn Station and side streets. We feel that we had a very successful operation, and we're very thankful to all the city residents and businesses who are able to extend themselves, their time and resources to help us house, provide medical services and shelter to everyone that needed the services during the blizzard. We had 370, of which, let me make sure the exact number that we have. We had men and women, of which the majority of homeless shelters usually do not see women. But because the space that we provide is safe, we saw about a third of the population were women who consistently came to come. Out of the 370, only 50 were unduplicated residents who came to utilize. We were planning to have only about 200 to 300, but we certainly didn't. We went extremely over that number. And for general population, we had set up Barringer and Shabazz High School, but we didn't need that, fortunately. That's it. Any questions?
Talk a little bit about the homeless count that's going on. That's been taking place for the last 24 hours or so?
Yes, the point and count happens annual. It's a federally mandated count. It's led by the county. The city this year is taking an active charge of it. We began at 11 o'clock yesterday. We have 3 hubs where the counts are beginning, and that's JFK, where we're housing the transient population, at the hub on Prince Street and Newark Emergency Services. The city had over 65 participants and volunteers who are actively surveying homeless populations for demographics that's necessary, so that we can receive all the resources that we need, so that we're much prepared for next year. We will conclude the survey tonight at 11 p.m.
Well, this is a national thing that they do every year.
Every year, yes.
Is this the first time the city's been involved in the actual count?
No, it's not the first time, but this is the first time that we've been actively engaged in the count.
So I just want to say first, thank you, and we appreciate the work that Dr. Hamdi and the Health Department is doing, particularly in this storm. These are the stories that are not discussed during the storms, such as this, or blizzard. There are obviously homeless folks that we see when there is no snow under bridges and on streets that have to be moved and transported to JFK during blizzard conditions. And it was a difficult situation to do, especially when you have cars that have been abandoned in the street. To be able to continue to do that, they did a great job of housing our homeless folks there. I thought that was incredible, and I thought it was necessary for us to let the public know that we have been working in that area to make sure that the homeless and the transients in our city have been taken care of during this blizzard, as well as folks that had medical conditions, had diabetes, folks that needed to go to dialysis. All of those things were taken care of by our police and fire and OEM, who did an incredible job as well. And in our communications room, you can see the officers in there working around the clock to make sure that city residents are getting the services that they need. Thank you.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention those who've helped us manage the shelter. We're thankful and indebted to King's Restaurant, to Sonic, to Domino's on Central, and then many of the residents who volunteer their time, and many of the parents who actually had to carpool to volunteer at the warming station with their children. So we are thankful to you. Without you, this would not have happened.
We're still on topic. Once you're done with the count, do you have like some kind of plan to address the issue of homelessness in the city of Newark as a whole? I do know a lot of the shelters are run by the county. Sometimes it's difficult for people to get into them. Does the city have any plans to maybe stepping in or doing something about that?
The city has a coalition, the Reconnect program, and after the count is made, we will have to assess where do we build additional resources to our shelters. But more than shelters, we're looking into transitional housing and permanent housing. Unfortunately, the majority of those who are homeless are not what we see in the streets. It's women and children. So the city is in the process of building affordable housing in collaboration with the Director of Economic and Housing Development and many city agencies and county agencies and the federal government. Our coalition is coming up with a plan. We're looking for accurate numbers so that our resources and efforts are allocated based on accurate number rather than estimate.
Yep. That's it. Thank you.
Mayor, while we have you here, is it possible to just give us an update on the snow removal?
Sure. I think we're doing an incredible job. We're going to have an update later on at 4 o'clock, I believe, where we can give you an assessment of what we did on the last few days. So I think it's better if we waited for the general press event at 4 p.m. Is that right? Where we are able to have everybody here, the DOT, Public Safety Director, all of us assess where we are now. But we're still out here. We've been out here for the last 2 or 3 evenings getting this stuff done. Unfortunately, it's better for us to get the work done in the evening because there's less people, less cars, less activity. It's easier for us to get the work done during that time. So once we assess what we did overnight and the little bit that's happening this morning at 4 o'clock, we have a better opportunity to discuss that.
Mr. Mayor, did you say all the streets are totally plowed right now?
Well, yeah, I would say the majority of the streets in Newark are passable. When at 4 o'clock we'll be able to give you a better assessment of what's going on. Right now we're finishing up some areas, and I'd like to get an assessment of where we are so we can give a more truthful and accurate account of what we have left to do in the city. But we are, by the grace of God, nowhere near where we were yesterday and the day before. We are almost out of this storm, and I feel good about it. So I'll be able to give you a better assessment at 4.
What advice would you give people? I throw out some streets and it seems like there's just some one-lane situations and there's so many mounds of snow. What do you say to people when they talk about advice about digging out their individual space? What do they do with that? Will they put it back in the street? Or?
Well, we don't want them to put it back in the street, of course. We have to come back and cart the snow. There's obviously thousands of tons of snow that we've carted in the last couple of days. We have to cart more. We can't throw it in the river. Obviously, there's issues around EPA. We have to find places to put the snow, so we're carting it off thousands of tons of snow a day. And that process will take a couple of days till we get finished carting all the snow away. But in the meantime, we wanted to make sure that people can get out of their homes, that they're not stranded, that they can go to work, that they can go to school, they can do the things that they need to do. So, that's where we are. I think, at 4 we'll begin to discuss how we widen some roads, how we remain carting snow away, and things like that. So I think we are looking good, as a matter of fact. Well, there's locations that we've identified, city property, county property, that we've been given permission to put snow, and that's what we're doing. And we're doing a great job at that. It is a long and tedious process to pick snow up and cart it away and wait for it to come back and do it again, but we're getting it done. And at 4, hopefully we'll have some great news for you. Thank you.